So I had a blast doing up this boat. Uh, I did all the upgrades on it and I had a blast, and I don't really think there's a whole lot more I really want to do on this one. So I decided to up the game and look for a John boat that I can actually do. And I found one. It is right over here. Like I said, I have the Pond Prowler, and I've been kind of looking for a boat that I can get out in bigger waters for. Not big waters, but we have a couple acre lakes around here that you really need to have a gas motor to get to and explore them and really get around to them. But I didn't really want to go out and purchase a super expensive boat. I like doing stuff myself, hence the name. Funner to do it. I'd rather do the project myself, have fun doing it, build it the way I want to build it, and have a blast doing it and feel good about the end product. So I went to Facebook and started looking for a boat. I had a couple of requirements that I wanted for it. I was really looking for a aluminum boat this time instead of a fiberglass, composite, plastic, however you want to call it. I didn't want that style boat. I wanted an aluminum boat. I wanted a flat bottom. I was going to consider like a rowboat style of V-hull, but I really wanted that flat bottom because I do enjoy the shallow water option of the flat bodies, and it gets up on plane a little bit better. I just like the flat bodies. And a trailer. It needed to have its trailer for it. There's a lot of John boats that are out there that don't have trailers for them, and I just didn't want to have to worry about trying to marry a boat with a trailer. So those were the three. I was willing to do without a trailer, with a trailer. The last requirement is I had to have titles. South Carolina, you cannot register a boat in South Carolina that has a motor on it without a title. Now, if I wanted to take this boat in South Carolina and row, which you see you can do, it's fine. But anytime you want to put any type of motor on this boat, be it a gas motor, a trolling motor, whatever you put on here for a motor, you've got to be able to register this boat, and you can't register it if you don't have a title. I had to have a title on it. That is probably the hardest thing that I actually had to find, was finding a boat that had a title on it, because so many people just don't have the titles for these boats anymore. I do have a video on the engines too. Same thing with those old outboards. In South Carolina, anything over a 5-horse, you have to have it's got to be titled. You got to have a title for it in order to register it, because it's got to be registered and titled. Georgia used to be a non-titling state. I'm on the border of South Carolina and Georgia. So a lot of times Georgia, before I think it was 2020, they basically became a titling state, where you could buy a boat in Georgia and bring it into South Carolina and get a title for it, because Georgia was a non-title state. Georgia is now a title state. You can't do that anymore. The bigger caveat to that is Georgia's an e-title state, which basically means that they're all electronically filed now. So in Georgia, if you have a boat, they will title it for you, but it's an electronic title that the state holds on to. You can purchase that. You can actually pay to have a hard copy sent to you, but most people aren't going to do that. So that made the search a little bit more difficult. Probably every 2 out of 10 boats did not have a title. Same with the engines, did not have a title. So we did find one. This does have a title. The engine has a title, so we are good to go there. I paid $950 for this boat, the way you see it. So the boat itself is a 1973 14-foot Fisher John boat. So exterior of the boat wise, what I'll probably do, it just frame of the boat in general, it looks like it's actually pretty solid. There's just tons of holes all over the place like this. There's really not a whole lot you can do here unless I want to get real fancy and cut those off, but I'll just keep the holes there. You can Bondo them. I probably won't do anything with these holes, because who knows, I may end up bolting some lights here, however it is, but I won't do much with that. The transom, to be honest with you, I checked the transom. The transom actually feels really solid on here. I have done a transom before, and I just don't think I need to do anything with that transom. It's really, it feels solid to me, so I'm not going to do anything with the transom. I may end up, minimum, I'll paint it from here around. I don't know if I'll do anything with the lower portion of it other than clean it, because this takes such a beating already that I personally don't like going through and doing all that work on that kind of a paint job just to see it scratched and scraped off. But it's actually not in bad shape. Once you actually do this rim around here and get the whole upper portion of this painted on there, they look pretty sharp from that point on. I will check it for leaks, definitely. I'll take the floor out that's in it. He's got some insulation underneath it. It looks like it's actually been pretty dry. You know, I'm sure that insulation probably helps a lot when when that boat is banging through the water and you don't have that hoom, hoom, hoom. So it's probably a pretty good idea on there, but I will flip it over, check all the rivets, check everything for to make sure it's solid and it's not leaking. Probably even strip everything down and just take it to the water and float it with nothing in it, so you can see if there's any water coming in from any points. Other than that, for the boat, the hull, I don't think I'll do a whole lot other than that. To clean up the front here, obviously you got to get your stickers up here, so when I get my registration stickers, I'll show you how to put them on correct, because I didn't do them correct on my Bass Raider. So I'll show you how to put the stickers on the proper way once I get my registration numbers for it. Other than that, with the boat, I think that's about the extent of what I'll do. Everything else looks pretty clean on it. Yeah, I know I may add some lights. I have a front light bar on I may put on. I definitely want to put on the rear light, but frame-wise, there probably isn't a whole lot to do to it. So, trailer. What am I going to do with the trailer? The trailer's actually in really good shape. It's just not very pretty looking. I'll probably go through and sand the trailer down and paint it. I'll take a look at the jack on here. It's an older jack, and to be honest with you, I got one of the newer jacks on my Pelican, and I personally think the older jacks are a little bit stronger than the newer ones. My Pelican's not holding a lot up, and that jack is kind of going wonky, so the jack is actually pretty solid. I'll probably just keep the jack on there and paint it through the rest of them, maybe straighten the handle out a little bit on it. I will check the clasp up here. I do have some, I might replace the clasp on here. I'm going to find out how well it works. I like to have a nice smooth operation for that tongue hitch on there. So we'll if nothing else, I may take that one apart, clean it up, lube it, put it back together. The winch, it's got the winch tower on it. This is actually welded to it. It looks like it works actually pretty good. I might end up just taking this apart and cleaning everything up. He did put a new strap on it. That's kind of cool. I really don't feel like cutting this off and putting a new winch on there, so we'll look at that once I get it off. But it may get a new winch. Nothing else, I'll rebuild the winch that's on there. Maybe put a better handle on there, because that kind of is a little wonky. That looks in good shape. I'll take a look at that, maybe replace the rubber on it. The tire looks pretty good on it. A little loose, but it looks like it's in decent shape. I'll probably replace the safety chains on it. I like to have decent safety chains. I'm gonna probably rewire the trailer. It looks like the wiring has just been kind of zip tied on there, and it looks fairly new, so I may end up maybe cleaning it up. It looks like he actually did rewire, because that looks like fairly new wire in there, so I'll get in there looking at it. I may end up just cleaning that up, getting it straight. I can see some wire hanging from underneath. You can see it kind of hanging down there, so I don't like that. That's just a recipe for it to get snagged on the ground. But it does look like they rewired it, so I'll clean that up. Reflectors actually look like they replaced it. I'll probably go through and check the deck boards and see how they are. The least I'll do is recarpet them. If the wood is looks like it's decent, I'll keep it. If it looks like it needs to be replaced, I'll replace the wood on the trailer. Tires do not look like they're old and drywall rotted, but I noticed it doesn't have bearing buddies on it. I personally like the water bearer. I like the bearing buddies on the trailers so you can easily grease them, because personally I don't like taking my bearings apart every year and greasing them. I'll show you how to do it on this one. Probably to start off with, I'll show you how to pack a set of old traditional bearings like that, and then the next one I'll probably put some bearing buddies on there and show you why the bearing buddies are so much better, and they just are. So that'll get done. Probably sand that down. Deck boards on here. I don't know if I'm ripping that off, I'll probably just put a new deck board on that one and wrap that. And that's about it. The lights, he looks like he put newer lights on here. I'll check and make sure they work. But other than that, the trailer is really cosmetic. It's a lot of cosmetic. So the motor, I don't know if the motor's gonna run. It's in pretty bad shape. It does come with it. This is a 25 horsepower Evinrude from 1980. You can see it's missing the choke. It's missing a lot of the stuff up front on it. It's pretty beat up. Throttle's doing something, but they didn't have it running. It is pretty wore up. I mean, it is free. I'm not going to pull it now, but he did pull on it. The engine does crank. It does turn off. I didn't crank it. It spins over. If you pull the cord, it spins. So that's the least I know about it. I will investigate the engine, see if we can get it running, see if we can rebuild it, see if we can do anything with it. I don't have high hopes on it, but it'll be a video. We'll give it a shot and see what we can come up with on it. But it'll be a fun project. So what am I gonna do on the inside of the boat? First of all, the person I bought from was a younger kid, and he looked like he actually did a couple of upgrades to it. He did put in a casting deck. This is not attached to it. This is removable, so he did a decent job on the casting deck. He did also put a wood floor in it with some decent carpeting. So I do like the wood floor. I may or may not keep it, I don't know, but I'm going to do some sort of a flooring on it, and I'm going to actually do some sort of a casting deck on it like this. What I really want to do on the inside for the casting deck is I want a place to store my tackle up front, so a storage compartment for my tackle. I want the batteries up front for my trolling motor, so I will probably have some sort of a compartment up here for my batteries. I want an onboard charger for my batteries. I don't want to have to open up that latch and plug in and hook up to my batteries every time I need to charge it. When I get back, I just want to connect to it and it's charging already. So I'll probably put a box in here with a pass-through cord on where I can plug an extension cord, and there'll be an onboard charger already here charging those batteries up. So that's the plan for this. Am I going to keep the deck? He did a pretty good job on cutting these off, so maybe I might keep this top part, this configuration, make it on hinges. I don't know, we'll do something, but we are going to do some sort of a casting deck up on top here. I'm considering some maybe LED lights rolling along the side if I'm ever out nighttime fishing, to be able to flip on a couple of lights. Controlled, maybe an LED panel, a panel right here for switches for the trolling motor, switches for the lights, because I do want to have navigation lights on here if I'm out at night. And then of course every boat needs a fish finder. I haven't decided, fish finder in the front or fish finder in the rear. All depends. I mean, we'll kind of see when we get down to that. But also, I'll have a switch panel up front here that's going to control that fish finder and all the electronics. So, extras that I may or may not do, I don't know. Leave your suggestions in the comment. Live well, it's big enough for one, but I also want to keep in mind I want to be able to have utilize the 3 people capacity that this boat has. So the live well kind of takes up that space. I don't really know if I'm ready for a live well. Not for at least fish. Maybe a smaller live well for bait. I like fish with minnows every once in a while, so maybe one of these little spots compartments can be a smaller little live well for bait for my bait fish. We'll see, but that's pretty much the orientation I want to have in here. The front trolling motor, I don't know if I want as big of a front trolling motor on it as that one. I think I can go a little bit lower, a little bit smaller trolling motor, but if not, it's not bad. I do like the fact that it's a foot control. I do want to have a foot control, some sort of hands-free up front there. So the jury's still out on the foot control on the trolling motor. I do want to have at least one seat up here, a fishing seat, the smaller style seat up front. I'm thinking possibly a swivel chair right here for one of my passengers, a swivel chair back here for the driver, and then if you have a third one, that's a seat too. So leave me some options in the comments on what you'd maybe like to see me give you your options, your suggestions, and we'll throw that into the build. But everything's up in the air right now as far as the way it goes. I'm open to suggestions, but I have ideas running through my head on what I want to do. Okay, so it's going to be a fun journey. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I'm going to have a blast doing this. I'm going to kind of wing it along the way. I've done one other boat before. I'll throw a picture up of that little boat. I think it was a little 12-foot that we did a couple years ago. Me and my son did it. We had a blast on that one. Kind of wish I would have kept it, but we sold it because I told my son we'd split them up for profits on it, and he needed his money. And personally, it was fun to do with him. This one, probably I don't even have a time frame on how long this is going to take me. My wife's going to help out too because it takes 2 to tango. But I don't know how long it's going to take. A month, 2 months, 3 months. I really don't know, but I am going to film the whole process of doing it from the beginning to the end. So I hope you want to follow along with me. If you have any suggestions, go ahead and put them in the comments. If you have any suggestions on what you would do to the boat, please put it in the comments. And I hope you subscribe and follow along and come along with me on the journey as we bring this old baby back up into a fishing spec, and maybe I'll catch my PB with it. You never know. You never know. Talk to you later.